Leviathan's Breath. I did the quest today. It's very fast. And so if you're wondering, should I even get this? Go for it. It's very quick to do. It's very easy overall. You can do it in like an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if you're a little slower. But getting Leviathan's Breath, I think it's worth it. Is it the best weapon in the game? Is it this amazing weapon? No, I'm not going to call it amazing, but there are some niche situations where you're going to see a lot of value here, and if you like doing stuff like the Nightfall, well, this is going to be a very solid pickup for you and your team. So let's just jump right into it. The Leviathan's Breath has two features that are very interesting. Number one is the Big Game Hunter. Fires a massive, heavy bolt that staggers unshielded enemy combatants, and it's strong against unstoppable champions. That's right, this thing has built-in unstoppable rounds, meaning you can stun those annoying, unstoppable ogres and put them in the ground, hopefully, as soon as humanly possible. This also allows you to have it in the heavy slot, because this is a heavy bow, which means it opens up slots for overload rounds, or anti-barrier rounds, or just other high DPS weapons. Unstoppable champions can be frustrating to deal with, and if there's too many different types of champions in a match, it's a little frustrating because, well, then you're going to have to give up some of your good weapons, like a Mountaintop or Izanagi's or something like that, to deal with them. This one is going to do some decent damage, it hits pretty hard, and you've got those unstoppable rounds in a slot that you normally can't. So that's a bonus. Leviathan's Sigh. When fully drawn, the bolt creates a large concussive blast that knocks enemies back, and this will kill most trash mobs in the game. So if there's a bunch of Thrall running towards you, you can area of effect bow them down. If there's a bunch of enemies around an ogre, you can hopefully kill them. And it even works in PvP to get some kills. So let's take a look at the PvP first. Let's chat about the PvP really quickly. The draw time on this bow is absolutely horrendous. 1.3 seconds long. It is a one-hit kill, though, to the body. That's right. I mean, it's a heavy bow. It should one kill to the body. But if you get a headshot, you're going to overkill. You can actually take out some supers with this, but I didn't really have an opportunity to do it. In most playlists, you don't get that much ammo, so you better not miss. But you can see here, one shot, boom, in the body, does some damage, kills them. But it also does area of effect. Now, it looks like the area of effect is about 100 damage, so if you want to kill someone, they actually have to be weak, they have to be missing some shields, or else it just won't kill them. But in something like Control, if they're grouped up, it could be valuable. Now, with only 2 ammo, you better not miss. It's very punishing if you miss. In panic situations, the draw time on this is going to be very prohibitive, but it is nice knowing that from pretty much any distance, you can hit someone in the body and get a free kill. But is that worth it? If I'm being honest with you, this feels like a meme weapon. You use it because you want to fart around on the bow and one-bang people, but I can't say that this is a god-tier weapon or something that's going to be dominating the Crucible. Anything you can do with this weapon in PvP, you could easily do with a multitude of others, and even things like special weapons. Yep, it works, but my god, is the draw time brutal in PvP. You'd better be hard scoping a lane, because panicking with this thing is a no-go. But I mean, not even fully charged, it does like 150 damage almost, so maybe it'll be good for some tiny niche situation. Now, this bow allows you to do something interesting. Previously, if you wanted to be able to take out all different types of champions, typically what you needed to do is have, unstoppable on this one, you needed barrier on this one, and then overload on your grenade. And that neuters your damage quite a bit because you can't take a lot of the best stuff. You can't have a Mountaintop, you can't have the Izanagi's. It limits your overall DPS. Well, now you can do overload grenades on your character. You can do barrier rounds on either of these slots, and then you can do the unstoppable on the heavy. And that opens some doors to a bunch of different weapons. You could use something like the Soul Survivor, a really good DPS weapon. You could use something like the Mountaintop. There's a bunch of different weapons you can now use because this slot has taken that unstoppable round. Now, someone on your team could obviously do it, but if you want to be the guy that takes out every single champion in the game, if you want to solo some of the Nightfall content, this allows you to do it much easier. Leviathan's Breath is going to do some pretty damn good damage, And, I mean, it's just one more barrier you don't got to worry about. You don't got to worry about these champions. They're dead. Easy. So let's look at a little footage really quickly and talk about how good this is. With the area of effect, most trash mobs are going to go down if they're a red HP bar enemy. But if they start getting yellow, if they start turning into like yellow health bar vandals, you're going to run into some major issues with doing that. It does have a good amount of area of effect, but nothing more than a rocket could do. Now, the first shot on something like an unstoppable ogre isn't going to have that impressive of a damage number. 10,000 damage or something like that, which is not amazing. It's not amazing. It's not like it's going to one-hit this boss, right? However, like all unstoppable champions, after you stun them, you actually do bonus damage with your next shots. So my first one does around 10,000 on the stun, my next one does 34,000, and my next one actually does 45,000 because I think I timed it perfectly, or close to perfect. So it does start to ramp up in a little bit of damage. I do see the value here. Now, if you start throwing in some damage buffs and debuffs on the enemy, you can do some pretty good damage, and you can most likely two-hit something like an unstoppable ogre, as long as you have something like Weapons of Light and a debuff grenade going in on that enemy, or a tractor cannon, or a bow, or something like that. Against bosses, maybe not amazing, but if you're looking at something like this wizard here, I mean, you're pretty much one-tapping this. Any sort of buff or debuff, it would be a one-shot kill. Now, the issue I personally find is the draw time. The draw time is so prohibitive, it feels like the damage it dishes out isn't quite high enough. If you're looking at sustained DPS on this weapon, I'm not sure I'm a fan. It's almost like you want to stagger the enemy and then swap to something else. But, you know, if you gotta use this weapon, it's not gonna be terrible, but this is not going to be my first choice if I'm trying to take on a boss. This is a weapon that feels like it has a job, and it does that job well. It opens up some doors, and I like it. I'm just not blowing my load over the DPS that it dishes out, or even the area of effect, because there's just more weapons that could do something probably just as good. It's got some good range, so you can deal with unstoppable champions from a further distance and do that max damage, but I just wish there were some ways to make this bow feel a little bit better. Yep, I can hit 30,000 damage per shot with it. Yep, I can stagger enemies. I just don't know if I love this for anything other than Nightfalls. Now, I know I sound really negative, and that's because, you know, when an exotic comes out, I want it to work everywhere. I want it to be the best everywhere. Like, no one is asking for a weak exotic, and, you know, doing what it's supposed to do, it's not a weak exotic. It's great. It's just a very niche exotic, and if you don't need it for that one particular thing, then it doesn't have a lot of value. It isn't going to be your best pick in multiple situations. It's going to be a good choice, but still not necessary choice in Nightfalls. Now, the one thing I wanted to say, even if I am being kind of negative, is it is so easy to get this bow. It will take you like an hour, hour and a half. If you've got some buddies that can do it, it's going to be so quick it's not even funny. So just go do it. Might as well have this tool. You might as well have it in your arsenal, even if you're not going to use it all the time, and you're not going to be, you know, one-banging raid bosses with it anytime soon. Another minor or major thing, like I don't know how much you value this, is if you don't have to go for unstoppable rounds for your hand cannon, you know, it opens up some doors where you can grab a couple more perks in here, or at least one more perk in here, or you can grab another reloader. I mean, you could get enhanced bow loader now that you don't have to get unstoppable hand cannon if that's something you care about. You know, these little optimizations because of this bow. It's just, it gives you different choice in weapons, it gives you different choice in mods, and it might be enough to say, holy shit, this is amazing. And I think for Nightfalls, it's probably going to be in most loadouts. I'm guessing there will be one person running it, maybe not everyone, because maybe you don't need that much. There's only so many unstoppable enemies. It's not like there's 4 of them or 5 of them running at you at a time. Typically, it's kind of one after another. So one person should be good. One person can optimize for it. They can be the enhanced bow loader guy. They can have the unstoppable rounds on their bow, the Leviathan's Breath, and maybe that's good enough for you. Maybe that's exactly what you want. Is Leviathan's Breath going to be the best DPS weapon in the game? No. Will it kill trash mobs better than everything else? Not really either. But it fills a niche, it fills a role, and I think it has value. For how easy it is to get, it's a no-brainer, and while yes, it does take an exotic slot, at least you're able to take out those unstoppable enemies in a pretty unique slot, considering this is a heavy. I overall like this weapon, but mostly for PvE, because in PvP, there are just way easier to use, better choices, and I can't recommend this weapon for PvP other than to meme around and have some fun with it. Thank you so much for watching, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you soon, my friends. Bye-bye.